Laughing, hoping that I get signed. Now I own my own tracks, riding waves of the hypermind. Popular and dirt poor broke, that ain't my type of grind. If I got started.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Man, look, it's been a lot of wrestling, right? I punched in at 8 o'clock on this all out thing. It has been going on since 7. I punched in at 8 o'clock. I feel like I've been at work literally all day because I was. And then I came home and had to go through this marathon of a show. Tony Khan needs to learn restraint. There's at least 6 matches on this card that didn't need to be on here. And I think like on paper, we kind of looked at it and was like, oh, this could be okay, yada, yada, yada. But even cutting some of the matches short, it still felt like this show went on forever. God. Jesus. And then the big reveal at the end, for starters, wasn't even really that big of a reveal because anybody with a modicum of sense knew what was going to happen from the beginning. It was just a long-winded Austin Theory, Vince McMahon thing. Just the same thing people complained about. When Austin Theory did it at the Money in the Bank, he was put in the match and he just wins the match, even though he had to work the whole match. Same thing they did here, pretty much. And the difference is it's somebody that, you know, these fans are already conditioned to like. Which should have been a heel thing. Instead, they were cheering, which makes no sense and shows that it was kind of ineffective. And they was actually hoping that somebody would save this goddamn show. All right, let's get into this thing. Let's bundle these issues. The casino ladder match. For starters, I never thought that the rules were that it was a Royal Rumble with ladder match rules. That 2 people start and then every, interval somebody else comes in. I didn't know how that worked. Maybe because I don't pay attention. But it's silly that you can have a match that can end at any time. And yet you have guys taking time to tear off their tearaway suits and slowly remove their masks so they can look all sexy or tough. It's like, you're an idiot. Rush Andrade El Idolo. Look at me. And then you got these guys. They just look like idiots. They look like straight up goddamn idiots. You got dudes doing Canadian destroyers on the ladder. Dudes is just hopping off the ladder. They just doing all kind of wild stuff. And then here comes just 5 or 6 black-clad dudes. They just show up. They just take the poker chip. Just take it, Stokely is revealed as being one of the guys. I kind of guessed it was him because the guy was really short. And I was like, it must be Stokely. And sure enough, it was. And he is obviously the handler for whoever the Joker was going to be. So we were waiting for the Joker. Rolling Stone, Sympathy for the Devil plays. That's a dead giveaway right there. It's like not much of a tease. It's just a just plain giveaway. So, Masked Man, unknown guy, comes to the ring. Unknown guy gets into the ring, takes possession of the poker chip, wins the match. Teases removing his mask, decides not to do it. So now we learned in this situation that everybody that came in the match previously got jobbed out because 5 or 6 guys came in, overwhelmed them all, beat them all up, and stole the match. Basically killed the match, made it completely and totally anticlimactic. Okay. We know that Stokely Hathaway is involved, and that it involves his goons, because some of them actually took their masks off, like W. Morrissey. And at that point, we're kind of like, okay, pretty much everybody, their mama and their mama's corpse is like, oh, that's MJF. And how are they gonna tease us? And I'm thinking, okay, they're about to spend the next couple of weeks teasing us with this guy in this mask, and of course it's going to be MJF, but maybe they'll remove the mask and it's somebody else. Maybe they'll try to trick us with, throw us off the trail a little bit. That's what I'm thinking, But the ladder match itself, I'm cool with it because it's story over pop. They're focusing on building something, and they were really trying to build something with the story. That's what they were going for. Yes, it was not very well done, but I'm all for, okay, you got my attention. An unknown guy has won this match. All right, you got my attention. Now, tell me the story of the unknown guy and unveil the unknown guy in a way that's going to be dramatic, that's going to make sense, that is going to build anticipation, where everybody's going to be excited and happy. That's what I was waiting for. What we got was the main event, CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. The crowd went to sleep for like an hour before this match happened. So, of course, the crowd is molten for CM Punk. They're very into Jon Moxley as well. The match itself was 20 minutes, fairly solid. On a really soft show, this match really stood out. I like the focus on actual wrestling in this match, not so much on the brawling, even though there was some of that. Moxley licking Punk's blood. It's just, dude's mentally ill. Okay, clearly he needs to go back to rehab. He's fucked in the head. And I'm a fan of Jon Moxley, but come on, dog. I like the snugness of his STF. I really enjoyed that. Like, thank you for actually, laying something in. I appreciate it. Instead of coming soft like you usually do sometimes. CM Punk wins the match with the GTS, which I believe was the second GTS. The people on Twitter trying to get me to believe that CM Punk, he had the people believing that the match was going to end after the first GTS. I'm like, no, they didn't. Those people are just conditioned to pop on everything at this point. There's no real, I wouldn't say there's any emotional content into this stuff. It's like, I wrote earlier, it's like a college football crowd because, they just chant because they feel like they're part of the team, like they're helping the team win. But the emotional investment isn't quite there. It's just energy because this is something that I really wanted to see. But it's not nail biting. It's not legit. I was on the end of my seat. I didn't feel that. It just felt like, hey, we're all here with our friends and we're drunk and yelling. And it's a different kind of vibe. It's loud, but it's different. We'll talk a little bit more about the crowd later because JR, of course, went over the moon about the crowd. In any event, I don't think anybody who is legitimately critically watching this show bit on that early GTS and thought the match was going to end in 3 minutes just because it was in Chicago. Nobody believed that shit. Mainly because this was the main event of the show. You're not going to end the main event of the show in 5 minutes. We're not stupid, Tony Khan. Come on. Anyway, he hits the second GTS. Jon Moxley takes the L. All right, CM Punk wins the title back. He's now 2-time AEW World Champion. The crowd is very excited for this. The lights go out. Then we hear Tony Khan's voice making what they call the final offer, which is to basically give you whatever you want. Oh, your extended hiatus is causing harm to the product, and I'm willing to give you all of these things for the fans. I'm going to give you a pay raise and put you in a casino ladder match without you having to sign an extension. All of this type of stuff. Give you everything you could possibly want. Because you got me over a barrel here, bad guy. And then, of course, it's revealed to be MJF, who gets an awesome reaction because people are like, yay! And I tweeted out at about 11:45 p.m. This was the first pay-per-view that Tony Khan has put together in a really, really, really long time that did not have any big surprises or any big debuts. Samoa Joe doesn't count. Okay, that was kind of a return, and he really didn't do much of anything. They didn't have anybody who didn't previously work there walk in the door. Like, they've been doing it for every fucking pay-per-view since they started launching this thing. Has had at least one person debut on it. On this one, there was no debut. So I wanted to give them, I don't know if that was credit or criticism. I wasn't sure. But they did try to play the surprise gag because Samoa Joe was there and MJF was there. MJF, of course, has won the poker chip, and he's going to challenge CM Punk. And look, it's exactly what I said. The only thing that was drawn for this company that was keeping them in the 1 million viewers, getting their demographics up, was MJF feuding with CM Punk. I mean, the shit was crystal fucking clear to me anyway. I don't like to brag about being right. I don't like to toot my own horn, but toot toot. Who fucking couldn't see this coming? Who didn't see this coming? All these people are like, it might be Adam Cole. Like, fuck you. It was going to be MJF. It wasn't going to be anybody else. Come on, man. Smarten up. Clearly, they're probably going to do the match for a Grand Slam, which is likely going to be in New York, which is going to give MJF the hometown crowd. It's in a couple of weeks. So, question. Well, I think it's the most interesting question. Does MJF win the title? Yes. I think that's the only option you got, really. Your only option you got is to give MJF the belt. Because what is all of this for if MJF loses? What is all of this for? You know, unlike the Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre situation where there's a clear other guy, there is no other guy. If CM Punk beats MJF, this show goes back into the fucking toilet. If MJF wins, however, then you got, you know, people that somebody are actually interested in watching with the title. And he could, you know, a really good heel with some heat who might be able to draw interest in other baby faces. You've got an opportunity there. I say take it. Punk didn't need the belt anyway. Again, it was all about the chase with Punk. You know? That's really all it was. Now that he's proved that he's still got it, he doesn't really need to be the champion anymore. That being said, doing the reveal the same night, it just smacks of typical Tony Khan. You know, he was able to build anticipation a couple of times to much greater success when he let it slip that CM Punk was going to be on Rampage in Chicago. He built the anticipation. He teased it and teased it and teased it for several weeks. So here, when Rampage comes, everybody, even the haters, are sitting down watching like, I want to see this. When Danielson, you know, came in, you know, they built it for a little while. They milked it for a little while. I mean, they didn't, you know, do the vignettes and everything that I would, you know, suggest that they do. But they let the tease be out there for a while. You know, they let the tease go out there and float around for a while. And then people tuned in and say, okay, I want to see this. You know, I got to see this. When it comes to the MJF situation, look, again, everybody knew it was MJF. Why not just play the role? Even have CM Punk call the fucking guy MJF. Like, look, I know it's MJF. You know, I'm not stupid. Nobody here is stupid. But, you know, maybe you do the Junkyard Dog Stagger Lee thing when he's like, I'm not MJF. What are you talking about? You know, I'm not MJF. I'm Scorpio Sky or something. And, you know, and then, it, of course, it's revealed after 2 or 3 weeks that it really is MJF. But you build the story, you tease make the anticipation, you put people on the edge of their seat. You take them for a turn here and there. You give them a twist. You know, it's just, but that immediate gratification. He immediately wants people to know MJF is back. He immediately wants people to tune into Dynamite. Fair, but maybe these people wanted to tune into Dynamite because they didn't know who this guy was. And they figure he's going to cut a promo. He's going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on. And he's still going to cut a promo, but now you have MJF to actually promote, which I guess is a good thing. Instead of, you know, him being the master magician or whatever. Ultimately, it was a waste of a ladder match, but we've seen 1,000 ladder matches in wrestling, you know. We've rarely seen anything like what they did tonight. I'm going to give them credit for having balls and doing that. It takes a lot of balls to just say, fuck this match. We know what we're doing. I got confidence that it's going to work at the end of the night. We're going with that. And people are not going to be mad that they didn't get that ladder match fully, you know, fully competitive. and from top to bottom. People aren't. Now there's a lot of people who are not upset at all about that ladder match now, because they're glad that MJF won, which is the guy that they wanted to win, which is the guy they wanted to be in the match. They didn't care if the match was 25 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes. They didn't give a shit. The guy that they wanted to win is the one who won, ultimately. So it works. And it told a fairly decent story. Now, it would have been nice if you're going to reveal the guy at the end of the night, maybe you should have teased revealing him at the end of the night. Maybe somebody should have tried to have a conversation with the guy and he kept walking away. Or Stokely Hathaway told him, mind your own business. Who the hell are you? Yada, yada, yada. And shoved Tony Schiavone or something out of his face. You know? Or just say that he's going to be watching or something like that. Interesting stuff. So, all that was fine. There's going to be a lot of people who are be very excited because MJF is back. I don't know. He's very good. I'll give the boy credit. He's very good. Do I care that much? Not really, man. I mean, at this point, it just feels like he's their only hope. He's the only person they haven't ruined. You know? Like, and thank God he went on hiatus, because if he didn't go on hiatus, he'd be in really bad shape right now. But thankfully he went on hiatus and he was gone for a while. So he got to go away and become refreshed. So this is going to be very interesting. Very interested. Am I very interested in this feud? It's just a continuous of the MJF CM Punk feud. It's fine, I suppose. And as long as MJF wins the title at Grand Slam, it was all worth it. And it was perfectly fine. And nobody's going to be too upset about it. All right. The second match, the Trios Championship, the Elite defeat Hangman Page in the Dark Order. I mean, what did you think was going to happen, really? Did you for a moment think that it was going to be anything other than what it was? We've seen 100,000 of these fucking Trios matches. They're always the same. The Young Bucks throw 1,000 super kicks. Somebody staggers but doesn't fall. Look, that's like they used to say boxing exposed the business. Like, you see two fighters in boxing. One guy hits his Sunday punch, knocks the guy clean the fuck out. But yet in wrestling, you see a guy get hit with a punch 1,000 times, and not only is he not bruised, he's not knocked unconscious. He doesn't lose any teeth or anything like that. MMA exists, you know. Like, I've seen hundreds of guys get kicked in the face in MMA. None of them just stand there and stagger. You know, like, that's some shit you see in video games. There's some shit you see in Mortal Kombat. You kick a guy and he just kind of flails his arms and steps back a couple of... like, that's silly. And yet they continuously get away with this shit. You know? And every time it's like, this is one of the best trios matches I've ever seen. I really believe that John Silver was going to pin Kenny Omega. I'm like, get the fuck. You're naive. You're a kid who pretends Santa Claus is real, knowing that Santa Claus isn't real. There is no way I was going to buy that fucking John Silver was going to pin Kenny Omega. In what universe? That doesn't even make sense. Why would I believe that? That would be like, oh yeah, Maven rolled up the Undertaker. I believe that he was actually going to win that match. Get the fuck out of here. Even though we know that it's possible. Anything is possible. But I'm not about to bite on that. I'm not sitting back chewing my fingernails because fucking John Silver almost got a roll up on Kenny Omega. I don't believe that. Get the fuck out of here with this. The crowd was into Hangman and Omega and everything that they did against each other. I guess that was the one positive in it, which is fine. To me, the match was boring. They literally stood in a square and was super kicking each other in the face again. And I was like, God. You know, if people would be like, these are such great callbacks. I'm like, callbacks? They literally just do the same fucking thing in every match. That's like saying Macho Man's flying elbow drop is a callback to the last time he did a flying elbow drop. It's like, it's just a fucking trademark that he does in a match. That's what it is. It's not, he just does the same fucking shit in every match. It's not a callback. It's a trademark. All right. And staggering is not selling. Selling is actually holding or favoring a body part. All right. making me believe that something actually hurts on you. Not, oh, I got kicked and I laid back and bounced off the ropes and came back and did something else. These guys have to understand, not only are you shitting on the actual kick, you're shitting on your own legs. If you can kick somebody straight, kick them straight in the face and they don't go down, what the fuck are your legs made of? Because hell, I've seen people get kicked in the leg by kicked in the face by infants and have busted lips or whatever, even by accident. You know, it's you can't have that horse shit. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Just 1,000 super kicks, none of them sold. It's garbage. Afterwards, Kenny Omega tells the crowd, the boys in the back got to beat that, you know, and I don't know. I don't know if they tried, but it was what it was. Jade Cargill defeated Athena, and my eyebrows were on fire at this point. For starters, Jade Cargill came out. She was dressed as She-Hulk. I forget which one of these losers says she's green because she looks like money or something like that. And I was like, bruh, do you not see the tights? She's She-Hulk. Like half of her body is green. She's literally wearing the She-Hulk uniform. Like, I don't expect everybody to be a nerd. But, bro, She-Hulk is a pretty big deal on Disney Plus right now. It's like literally everywhere. You mean to tell me that all you assholes know about every fucking indie thing in the history of wrestling? You don't know about fucking She-Hulk? Come on. They just did this thing where She-Hulk was twerking with Megan Thee Stallion. It's on everybody's fucking TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. I know you don't live in like a basement in a room like Robin Williams from 1 Hour Photo. I know you have some type of fucking technology where you can actually know this kind of shit. I don't even have Disney Plus and I know this. I don't even fucking watch She-Hulk and I know this. You don't need to have deep comic book lore to know that, oh, she's giant and green. She's trying to be She-Hulk. Come on, man. It's ridiculous, man. Second, Jade Cargill, to me, she's very cool. I don't like to see cool people cosplaying, because cosplaying is for people who want to fantasize about being cooler than they really are. You know, sure, it can be fun. Some women get into it because it's fun, but the whole thing of dressing up like Spider-Man or Goku from Dragon Ball is because you idolize that character and you kind of want to be like that character. When you're the cool person, you should want people to dress like you. You know, you have your own sense of style, your own sense of things. It's like one thing to do an homage. You know, I think like, you know, Rey Mysterio used to do the homages where he would do like, you know, Spider-Man or Captain America or something like that. It's not entirely cosplay. More like an homage. That's one thing. You know, cool people shouldn't be doing cosplay. You know, cool people should want to be the standard, not to be following standards, you know, and somebody needs to whisper in her ear. Like, it really kind of shits on your character when they look at you and they see She-Hulk and not Jade Cargill. You know, think about your brand, baby. If for by any standards, if she happened to stumble upon this, think about your brand. Your brand should always be about you, right? Your brand should be, every time you go out there, you should be selling you. Not going out there selling fucking She-Hulk stuff. Oh, I'm a fan of She-Hulk. You know, yeah, that's great. Do that for the Instagram. Do it for the gram. When you're in or your place of business, it should be about you. You know, just like, you know, these ball players out here, they get these Nike contracts. Nike don't give a fuck if you prefer Yeezys or you think Crocs are more comfortable. You're on the field, you wear Nike. That's what you representing. That's what they're paying you for. Tony Khan is paying you to be Jade Cargill, not for you to be fucking She-Hulk. Come on, think about that shit. You know, that's just for her edification. Now, Athena's a complete waste of life. I don't even know what's going on with her. She hadn't been on TV that much. I swore up and down, I'm like, okay, they're going to bring Athena in. They're going to put her over. She's going to beat Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill can then go and move on to the world title, and then they did just the fucking opposite. This match felt rushed. like they were wrestling inside of a tomato can. It just was bouncing off of each other. For starters, this match was far more physical than the trios match that came on before it. Like just within the first 2 or 3 minutes, somebody got elbowed in the face and actually sold it, which was far more than what the Young Bucks did. They have a big problem with building baby faces because the baby faces have no motivations. Athena, they showed her little promo from Rampage, and she was going on and on about how everybody's tired of Jade Cargill and she's going to win it for the girls in the back and all that kind of stuff. And it's like that kind of generic shit is not going to work. Nobody cares about that. You have to get people to genuinely care about your motivations for doing this. That's generic. It's vague. Literally anybody could say, I'm doing it for everybody in the back. Anybody can say that. Ruby Soho could have said it. Ty Conti could have said it. Anybody could have said it. You know, the thing about being a unique character is having a unique perspective, a unique reason for wanting to do things. That makes people more invested in you. Right? This is something I just learned about, I forgot, oh God, what was his name? There's a guy, he does like TV show reviews, and he used to work in network TV, and he was talking about sitcoms. And one of the things that he was discussing when it comes to sitcoms is that sitcoms don't have character development. AEW doesn't either, but sitcoms don't have character development. What they have is a central problem in every episode, and each character responds to that problem in the way that their character would respond, right? And I sat down and I thought about it, and I just thought about certain shows, and it's the structure of storytelling where you have stability, and then you introduce chaos, and then characters respond to the chaos in their own way. For instance, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day. Oh my God, there's somebody being robbed over here. Somebody getting mugged in the corner. Generic superhero stops the robbery, jumps from the cliffs or whatever, stops the robbery. What makes it a unique character is the presentation of how they do it. Spider-Man would swing in on his web, crack a little bit of a joke. Batman would be in the dark, probably in the rain, with his wings spread open, and the robber will look at him and be like, "Oh, it's the Batman!" Superman, he just like a blue blur flash through, and he'll crush the gun in his hand or something like that. That's like unique character shit. You're not going to see Spider-Man could crush the gun in his hand, but he's not going to. Even though he could, he's not going to. That's why people care about these characters, because they're unique. Athena is vague as fuck. She is non-defined. She's been there all this time. There is nothing unique about her at all, period. She is generic black girl wrestler. Of course she fucking lost. Of course she fucking lost. She's not over. Who cares? And that's 100% Tony Khan's fault. Interesting note for this match. They kicked out of Athena's finish. Burned her finish. That wasn't really her fault. Well, Jade Cargill wasn't her fault. The baddies were supposed to break up the pin, and it didn't happen. They literally botched it. So Jade Cargill had to kick out. So they burned Athena's finish and beat her in the same night. How about that one, kid? Back to the indies with you. I don't know, man. I got a kick out of that one. That's fucked up. It's real fucked up. But that's the kind of stuff I think about. When I'm thinking about characters, I'm always thinking about how is your character unique? How does everything about your character should be unique to you, man. Like I've read books about old wrestlers, and they were meticulous about their gimmicks. And people will say, "Oh, it's petty now," but when you think about it, like, bro, no, that's their shit. Like those old stories of Shawn telling, I think it was Umaga, he can't wear black and green. That's DX colors. The stories of guys not being able to have the same finish. Don't use my finish. You know, it's like those are distinctive things. You know, like you're encroaching upon my shit. That is a unique character thing. There's a story in the Bruiser Brody book about him beating the shit out of some guy. I forget where it was. I think it was it in Puerto Rico or was it in Texas or something? Or I think it was in St. Louis. He beat the shit out of some dude because the dude was mocking his entrance. Like he was doing the husk, which is basically what the Berserker does. And he was doing it, and the other guy started doing it too. And he was like, wait a minute, this fucking guy's just doing my fucking entrance. He's stealing my shit. So he beat the tar out the fucking guy. And you look at it and you say, well, that's bullshit. It's a little excessive. True. But when you think about it, my bread and butter is the stuff that I put together. Especially since at that time there was no booker putting my shit together for me. I'm coming up with it on my own. Which means you're stealing from me. And if, people are stealing my shit, how am I going to be distinctive? How am I going to get over? I'm just another big motherfucker wrestling in this ring at this point. If you just steal all my shit. That's the thing, man. Like, I just think about that kind of stuff. And I care more about it than most people do. Most people just care about the moves they were doing. I don't give a fuck about the moves. I don't even pay attention to that shit. I only pay attention to moves when either A, they're very good, or B, they're fucking botched. Other than that, it's just a generic, I've seen 100 motherfuckers do arm drags. I'm not impressed by that shit anymore. Unless you do an arm drag on like an 8-foot motherfucker, then I'm interested. Like I saw a clip of Paul Roma doing an arm drag on Earthquake. I was like, wow, that's fucking cool. Otherwise, if it was Paul Roma doing an arm drag on another motherfucker who looked like Paul Roma, I wouldn't care. It's just an arm drag. I'm not interested in that. But if they were doing something that I'd never seen before, okay. If they were doing something that they fucked up, okay. Like do something distinctive that's going to stand out, and they have failed to make Athena stand out, and they're doing everything to make Jade stand out, but at the same time cover her in other bullshit too. They need to stay on brand when it comes to Jade. Stay on brand. But the question I have now is who could possibly beat Jade? She's beating everybody now. So it's like this Jamie Hayter, maybe. I don't know. Britt Baker. It's a toss up. Like you have to bring in somebody else to wrestle Jade now because everybody else is a retread. I don't know, man. It's interesting though. I'm big on Jade. I like Jade, but they're not doing her any favors. At some point, she's got to break this winning streak because she has to grow as a character. She has to grow as a performer. She has to take the L eventually. The longer it takes for you to get there, the worse it's going to be when you actually break it. Because you got to break it eventually. So there that go. All right, Motor City Machine Guns and Jay Lethal are defeated by FTR and Wardlow. There's another match I didn't care about. Could have been on TV. There was no explanation about Motor City Machine Guns even being involved in this or why. They tried to tell me, oh, these guys aren't just random dudes. They're friends with Jay Lethal. I'm like, if you've never watched Impact or you haven't seen Impact in years, because Impact used to be on TV. Let's say you ain't seen Impact because it's been in the doldrums of Access TV for the past, 6 or 7 years. You haven't seen it. And the Motor City Machine Guns just magically pop up on your TV. You're like, oh, I remember those guys. What are they doing here? Oh, they're good friends with Jay Lethal. Really? I haven't seen them. Really? From where? He knows that, did he run into him in Walmart all the time? Did he see him, in the grocery store? They shop at the same Whole Foods? How are they friends? I've never seen these guys on this TV before. Never mind. Anyway, Sanjay Dutt was wearing a shirt that says, fight like an 8-year-old girl. And then it was crossed out and it put brat. And I was like, Lord, Jesus. Then FTR came out and Dax's daughter was out there. Her name is Finley, which is interesting. Interesting name for a girl child. She made a little bit of a cameo, waved. She was wearing her fight like an 8-year-old girl shirt. and she kind of went to the back. After we got through this match that should have been on TV, where it basically ends the same way as a singles match, Wardlow, Powerbomb Symphony on Jay Lethal, and nobody cares about any of this crap. Samoa Joe made his triumphant return to AEW as Satnam Singh was about to get involved with this. All the babyfaces surrounded Sanjay Dutt. Baby Finley, she came out there. She crushed Sanjay Dutt's pencils, which was incredibly cute. They, of course, put Sanjay Dutt down and she pinned him. So it was a great moment. Wonderful little moment for the little girl. It was great. She stole the spotlight from everybody. We definitely could have did this on TV. You know, it definitely wasn't necessary for pay-per-view. Definitely wasn't necessary. You know, I guess they're going to have an intergender match between her and -1 eventually. You know, why not? They got kids everywhere. To my great disappointment, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. Now, look. At this point in the show, because I'm not doing my review in order, but as I was sitting and watching this show, I was pissed at this point. I'm like, fuck. I had to sit through that Young Bucks garbage, that Jade Cargill, I think at least that was short. This Motor City Machine Guns Jay Lethal thing, I don't remember how long this thing was, but I just felt like it was unnecessary. So I'm like, we're finally getting to something that I actually care about. And they showed the video packages from Rampage, which I hadn't seen before, where Hobbs was really good by saying that Ricky Starks was never his friend because his friends aren't punk ass losers. Ricky Starks said that we supposed to be brothers. Every time somebody, it's crazy thinking he looked just like that motherfucker from what is his name? Is it Alan? Alan something. He looked just like that nigga, man. From New Jack City. He looked just like that motherfucker. But Ricky Stark said that they were a brotherhood. And Hobbs betrayed that, and now there's no going back. And I was like, okay, fair enough. At least they're fighting over something. You know, they're fighting over something serious. These two dudes were, you know, in position to be a top team. And Hobbs was like, hey, we were, you know, could have been tag team champions twice, but, you know, you cost us those matches. You were the loser. And, you know, Starks is kind of like, man, I'm taking this personally. You know, I'm taking this one to heart, you know, but I was interested in this. There was a lot of fire in this match too. Ricky Stark's entrance ruled with the different colors and everything. He came out, you know, with almost a little like Nelly from 2003. So it was okay. He came in there. He was full of piss and vinegar. He was throwing some punches that looked pretty good. Him and Hobbs, they went back and forth for a little bit. I was enjoying it. Next thing I know, bang, spine buster, pinfall. I was like, surely you just that's it. That's it. And yeah, that was it. I was like, wow. Okay. Like the one match I wanted to fucking see, and it was like 5 minutes. I was like, whatever. That's fucked. There's some stuff floating around that Ricky Starks might have been injured. That led to the match being cut. But that spine buster was pretty vicious too, dog. I don't know, man. I like Hobbs. I like Starks. I wasn't going to be mad. I was only going to be mad if it was a non-finish. You know, I like both guys. We can keep moving. I don't know where we go from here, though. Like, Hobbs called him a loser, then beat him. So, I mean, how do Starks come back? He hit him like a chair or something like that? I don't know. I don't know how he come back from this. You know, maybe Stark should have won this match. And it should have won in a kind of a fluky way, a small package, or, you know, something like that. But I like these guys, and they were taken away from me almost immediately in a sudden finish. Tony Khan is not a good man. I can tell you that. He fucked me good on that one, and I didn't like it. Next match felt like it went on forever. The Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory. They showed the package from Rampage where Caster just absolutely buried Swerve in Our Glory by calling them Timon and Pumbaa, which I laughed uncomfortably. I laughed like I was full, man. Like I was stuffed. Like I ate like French fries and like cheeseburgers and shit. I was stuffed. And when I heard like Timon and Pumbaa looking at us, I was like, oh shit. Oh God. It made them a complete joke. Now they had Swerve cut a promo about how Anthony Bowens, his body is weak and his Max Caster's raps are whack and all that kind of shit. I'm like, hell no. He called you dudes Timon and Pumbaa. Y'all should have put hands on this fucking guy, especially Keith Lee. Why are you so nice over there, big guy? You know he's calling you a warthog, right? He called you a fucking warthog on the Lion King. Don't put hands on that man. You too polite. Then the rap made it even worse. He called him Lizzo. I noticed how so many people got mad. Oh boy, people got so mad talking about their sacred cow Lizzo. You can't talk bad about Lizzo because she's fat all over. You can't talk bad about her. You can talk bad about anybody you want, but not Lizzo. Why? Why is she so special that she can't get no... Look, whenever somebody is fat and famous, they become like Precious. Like it was a thing with Precious. Every time you saw a fat woman, you'd be like, damn, Precious. Like I didn't even know what that girl's real name was. We just called her Precious. Anytime we saw anybody, fat chick, Precious. You see Precious over there in the Walmart. You see Precious, or you see, in Target. You walking down the street, some girl pushing a stroller, like, damn, who knocked up Precious? It's just kind of how it is. Now, Lizzo is just like taking that spot now. Every fat chick is Lizzo now. I don't know why she's a sacred cow. Like all of it, I thought it was a funny line. I also liked, he said, we're going to take the scissors to the paper champs. I thought that was a legitimately hot battle rap line. I like that. That was good. It's probably one of the better raps that he's put together. And I really don't like the rap gimmick. I'm kind of over it. This match seemed like it just went on and on and on. But the crowd was super into it. And this is when the crowd was like a college football game. Because they're chanting, scissor me daddy and all this kind of daddy ass. And they just chanting all kinds of stuff. They're so into the Acclaimed. They're super into the Acclaimed, which is the power of, promo, the power of, charisma. Notice how these guys are over. They don't win all the time. They're barely even on TV, but when they are, they're doing their thing. It's not necessarily my favorite act, my favorite thing, but for Christ's sake, I'm not going to argue with success. They're fucking over. They're over in a major way. I'm talking the crowd was molten for them. They wanted them to win so badly. I'm not mad at you. Anthony Bowens was indeed the MVP of the match. His selling was top notch. Built a lot of sympathy for the Acclaimed. And when Swerve viciously attacked that knee, put him in that Boston Crab, started stomping him on the head, I was like, yeah. That's when I started paying attention to this match. Because I was kind of like aloof for a while. Matter of fact, it was like 3 minutes into the match. I'm like, this match still going on. Like, nobody's sweating. The crowd's just chanting non-sequiturs and they're riling themselves up. The guys aren't doing anything yet. Just kind of letting it breathe. But it was right at that point when Swerve had him in that crab and was stomping his head, I was like, okay, now we're on to something. Now we're selling. Now we're telling a story. Now we're into the psychology of the match. It probably took us forever to get there, but now we're there. I didn't know what the Acclaim's finish was. I swear I didn't. I don't think I've ever seen them win a match. So I can't tell you like what their finish is. And then they did it to Swerve on the floor. I was like, oh, okay, so it's like a froggy elbow, which they stole from the Briscoes. Okay, fine. They tried to get it. Keith Lee broke it up. Crowd pissed. They're chanting bullshit, bullshit. You know, that was 3. That was 3. They had Max Caster pick up Keith Lee and hit him with an FU. That was a nice little thing right there, too. I love that false finish with the elbow drop. That was great. Of course, in the end, Swerve in Our Glory wins with the power bomb from with the foot stomp, and the crowd immediately dies. Then starts booing. Boo. Swerve in Our Glory, they're baby faces. You know, they're trying to show respect. They're scissoring Billy and the Acclaim. They're like, boo. We're not interested in what you're trying to sell us. These guys suck. We wanted the Acclaim to win. And you know what? Tony Khan, I'm going to give him some credit. Or I'm going to throw him some bail on this one. It was the right night for the Acclaim to win, but he would not have known that the Acclaim was going to get that reaction. He couldn't have known that. He would have known that if they'd have been on TV more regularly. He probably would have known that. But then also, it was Chicago, so maybe they're just an edgier crowd than normal. Maybe he needs to put the Acclaimed on TV this Wednesday. I don't know where they are, but put them on TV this Wednesday. See if they get the same crowd reaction. You know, and then if they do, strongly consider giving them the belts. You know, some people were like, hey, this is just like when Drew McIntyre lost in Wales or whatever. And I was just kind of like, not really. At least AEW didn't really cultivate this reaction for the Acclaimed. This match was thrown together, you know. But most people were looking at it like, okay, the Acclaimed are going to win. Like, that's who we want to win. Those are our guys. And then in the match, they built the emotional investment with Anthony Bowens and the way he was selling. So people legitimately, it wasn't just a sports game at that point. They were legitimately invested in the story now because they're like, I don't want our guys to lose. Like, we legit don't want our guys to lose. And then the guys lost. And they're like, fuck it, boo. And the crowd was dead for the rest of the night. And it's up until CM Punk came out. This killed the crowd. Now, the crowd was in and out at certain points. But this was it. Like, the crowd was not as hot for anybody other than CM Punk that they was for the Acclaimed. Got to give those boys credit. As much as I don't like the Acclaimed, don't like that rap shit and all that stuff, I'm going to give them some credit. They got over. They're over in a major way with a major audience in a major town. Go for it. They strongly need to consider giving them the belts. Strongly. Or need to pull a Crockett, create some United States Tag Team Championships. Some mid-card tag belts just for the Acclaimed. All right, the Women's World Championship match. If you were paying attention, this match was spoiled during the intros. As Toni Storm was basically crying when she came out. And I was like, oh, she's going to win, huh? Because she's fighting back her tears as she's walking down the ramp. And I was like, oh, well, congratulations. So it's all about how are we going to get there? And to say that Toni was the least over person in the match is to say it is what it is. They didn't do a good job with her. They didn't do a good job. She was the least over person in the match. And that's a shame. You know, Jamie Hayter was what the fans' favorite. They wanted Jamie to win. It makes no sense for them to want Jamie to win, but they did. They wanted Jamie Hayter to win. That made no sense whatsoever. You know, but I'm guessing they're invested in her story with Britt Baker. And they played into that story in this match. Britt and Jamie Hayter are working together. They're isolating and separating Tony and Sheeta, they beating them up. They took Sheeta up to the ramp, beat the tar out of her. And then she came back like with the heroes sticks or whatever, the kendo sticks, and to get the fight back. They told a really good story of Hayter and Britt working together, but when it came down to it, there can only be one champion. So Britt broke up the pin when Hayter seemingly had the match won. That led to some heat between the two of them. Then Hayter gets hit with Toni Storm's finish. And Britt Baker tries to pin Jamie Hayter after throwing Toni Storm outside the ring. So they're telling the story about their sort of breakup in this match, which of course they have to because they're opponents. But people are invested in that. They're interested in Jamie Hayter. Instead, Jamie Hayter is the one who takes the pin. And people are like, oh, okay. Boo. Or just flat indifference. Just flat out indifference. Not necessarily boo, but just kind of like, oh, Tony won. And you pan to the crowd and it's golf claps. It's like, yay. Congratulations. You did a good job. It's like, when you go to graduation and they're cheering for somebody you don't know. Like, yay, you did it. This C student just graduated. Yay, you did a good job. And finally. Toni Storm is another one. They did no work in getting her over. They did no work in raising her profile. They did nothing for her. Nothing. And if you're a listener to this channel, I am an advocate for them putting the belt on Toni Storm. It's the right thing to do. But you do it by making her hot first. There is that story of, are you trying to make the belt or is the belt trying to make you? So it is what it is. I like Toni Storm. I think she's going to be a good champion. But they need to individualize her character. She needs to have her own voice. She needs to actually talk. She needs to actually develop on her look. Play into her look. That's the one thing they did in NXT where they played into her look. In AEW, they're not doing it. Like, the girls was on the cover of fucking magazines. What are you doing? Like, these people are dweebs, bro. Do you not understand how to market to the larger population? I'm not saying she needs to be out there in a bikini. I'm saying, but you need to let people know, like, this is a beautiful fucking girl that you got as a champion here. And she can talk, and she's got her own voice, and she's got her own interests, and here's the cool stuff that she can do, and I'm not even talking about in the ring. I'm talking about outside the ring. I'm talking about all kinds of shit. People are interested in that kind of stuff. But mostly she needs to develop a voice. They just haven't done it. They just didn't do it. And this is what we got is when she wins the title, it's incredibly flat. Most people had an anybody but Britt attitude anyway. Anybody but Britt, but we prefer Jamie Hayter. So, congratulations to Toni Storm. I like Toni, but AEW didn't do her no credit. They didn't do her no favors, rather. Sorry to see this. Sorry to see it. All right, Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. This could have been on TV. I don't have any problem with what they did. No problem at all with what they did. I just felt like this show was entirely too long. We could have done this on TV. Christian comes to the ring. He goes over to mock Jungle Boy's mama. She takes a shot and slaps him. Cheap shot. He kind of smiles and kind of shrugs it off. He no-sells it. Jungle Boy has his entrance. Suddenly, Luchasaurus appears out of nowhere and grabs him by the throat. Jungle Boy tries to eye poke him. Apparently, it didn't work. He gets choke slammed on the metal grate, which was a great spot. Then he gets powerbombed through a table. I think I have another problem with this. Is I don't think his mom and his sister sold it enough. Like, they looked concerned, and AEW didn't really milk their responses either. But they needed to be screaming, "Stop! Stop it! What are you doing?" or covering their faces. Like WWF, they really do a good job of that. Like, they really milk that family shit. They put that camera right in their face. Like, can you cry? Do you know how to cry? Do you know how to overreact? Like, all you gotta do is think about if you saw your son getting jumped out in the street. If you saw him getting jumped in the parking lot of the gas station, how would you respond? That's what you need to do in this situation. If it means like you're trying to jump the barricade, that works. Somebody will be there to hold you back. We'll have like a security guy there to hold you back or whatever. But let's give us a reaction, and I don't feel like the mom and the sister really gave us a reaction. So after Jungle Boy gets chokeslammed on the metal grate, he gets powerbombed through a table. He gets rolled into the ring. The referee, for some odd reason, is kind of like, can you still have this match? I'm like, oh yeah, sure he can. Sure. And I'm like, if this match goes more than 2 minutes, there's some bullshit going on here. So Christian hits him with a spear. Jungle Boy actually kicks out. And I was like, okay, nah, man. He's not Superman. He's a kid. So then Christian hits him with the unprettier 1, 2, 3, essentially a squash match. But when you consider that he got jumped before the bell, this makes perfect sense. I have no problem with this. Christian really does have Luchasaurus under his control, which is good, which is what I wanted from the beginning, what I think we all wanted. And now the real shit begins. Jungle Boy needs a new friend. He needs somebody to help him combat Luchasaurus. I don't know what that could be like. Maybe they'll say he doesn't get any help and he'll go it alone. He'll go like a true hero. He'll be David versus Goliath. But Goliath and, I don't know, Christian, I guess. But I didn't have a problem with this at all. I like this, actually. I thought it was kind of ballsy, but I think we should have did it on TV. Some people are going to believe that, Jungle Boy is dead because of this. No. People gotta stop thinking about that stuff in that way. Jungle Boy is not dead. He didn't see the Luchasaurus thing coming. If anything, it simply took too long for them to actually chokeslam him on that grate. If he'd just grabbed him and chokeslammed him immediately on the grate, it probably would have been a little bit better. But since he held them forever, trying to, I guess, get him in the exact right spot, because he has no confidence in his own ability to do stuff. But it is what it is. Christian winning was great. Jericho versus Danielson. I thought this was a good match. I did. I thought it was good. The finish with Jericho hitting Danielson in the nuts, and then the Judas effect. Effective finish. I don't like that Danielson keeps losing either. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like their motivations for going into this match. Jericho wants to prove he's the best sports entertainer and the best wrestler. I don't see why anybody cares about that. Bryan Danielson, I want to, he says winning this match will validate my vision of pro wrestling. Like, what? What? I don't care about that. Like this, it should tell you that, again, it's the stories that make the talent, not the talent that makes the stories. It's unfortunate, but sometimes you could take a shit story and make it better through your own abilities. But Danielson being over for all these years is because WWE crafted a story around him where he was the underdog and he was the guy who never should have got there. And he finally got there. And the crowd was going to make sure he stayed there. But now that he's crossed that Rubicon and he's already super over, AEW just kind of say, okay, who are you? I'm a pro wrestler. Okay, well, that's all you need to be. And that's it. So, yeah, he's going to do a bunch of jobs. Again, he's just like Athena, just like Tony Storm. I haven't heard too much of anything from Bryan Danielson that feels like Bryan Danielson. Feels like when he does cut promos, like when he was cutting promos on Kenny Omega, when he was, he cut that promo on Jericho, about, if Stu Hart or Owen Hart saw us, who they say is a better wrestler. But the content is so focused on wrestling and not so much on having something bearing against him. You know, he needs something to react to. He doesn't. Jericho is just talking about sports entertainment and he's joking and shit. This had no stakes. So, of course, Danielson lost. So what? You know? So what if he lost? I know people think that, you know, this matters. Not really. Not when you're on Danielson's level, it doesn't matter. And to be quite honest, it wouldn't have mattered if Jericho would have lost. But they told the story, you know. But I did like the physicality of this match. I thought this was, you know, the best match on the show. To me, this was the best match on the show. Punk and Moxley would probably be second, but this to me was the best match on the show. I'm impressed by both guys. Jericho did the best he could at his age. Very limited, but I still had fun with this thing. But the story was more important. Daniel Garcia believes in Chris Jericho, but apparently Jericho doesn't believe in himself. Because Daniel Garcia didn't come out there to celebrate with Jericho, and Jericho was upset about it. He went back there to confront him. And Daniel Garcia said that he was disappointed. He expected Jericho to win, sure, because Jericho was the best. But he expected Jericho to win without cheating. And Jericho couldn't do that. So then Jericho said, look, you got a match with Wheeler Yuta coming up. You're going to win that match. There's no doubt in my mind you're going to win that match. But you're going to win it without us. The Jericho Appreciation Society will not be in your corner. And Daniel Garcia was kind of upset, like, wait a minute, this is the biggest match of my life, and you guys are not going to support me? And Jericho's like, no? Like, you didn't support me, you ass. You're an idiot, kid. No, I'm not going to support you. So the battle for Daniel Garcia's soul continues. Jericho just won a wrestling match, but Danielson's going to win his heart, you know? It's going to be like one of those will they, won't they's where some girl is laying in bed with the hot dope dealer dude who got like 4-finger rings and a gold necklace. And she's going to be thinking about the hot dog vendor who really took her out on her first date and actually cares about her so much. Stupid. All right, the House of Black are defeated by Darby, Sting, and Miro. This is another one that should have been on TV. It's just another match that should have been on TV. I didn't pay this match much attention. I'm not even going to hold you up. I was tired. All right. I was tired. All right. Malachi Black gets pinned after Sting spits black mist into his face. He is then rolled up and pinned. The interesting thing about this match wasn't the match itself, but it was the aftermath, where everybody is tweeting out that Malachi Black apparently hugged Brody and Buddy and then took a bow in front of the live audience. Now, to be quite honest, I noticed they cut away from the pinfall very quickly. Like, they cut away from that match quick. Right after the pin, they showed a little bit of the celebration, and then they just cut immediately to the next match. I figure, okay, maybe it gone a little long somewhere, or whatever the case may be. But as it turns out, they were just kind of trying to avoid showing Malachi Black breaking character. So that leads to a lot of questions about whether the guy is going to be gone or not. Is he going to get that release he's asked for? I'm guessing it's going to be an extended hiatus. He's going to be gone for a while because he took the pinfall loss against the Dark Order too. So they really are trying to job him on his way out. So he's probably going to be gone for a while. They're probably going to run the House of Black as just two people, being Buddy and Brody. And since Swerve and Our Glory need opponents, I guess that'll work. Malachi Black has been having a rough time. You know, rough time. And if this means that he needs to go away for a while, so be it, you know. So everybody needs a break. The crazy thing is he doesn't work a crazy schedule. He needs a serious break. Maybe that guy is trying to get out of there and people are trying to undercut it. You know, we don't know. But him saying goodbye in front of the audience like that, very interesting. Very intriguing stuff. The stuff worth talking about, I would say. But that was kind of that was all out. The one thing that I want to discuss, two things. Apparently, Ruby Soho broke her nose on the pre-show. That's unfortunate. Ty Conti kneed her in the face. That sucks. But the big thing I want to discuss is that Apparently, Tony Khan said that AEW will be making $100 million gross this year. Now, that's an interesting figure because saying we're going to make $100 million, that's interesting. Can you prove it, for starters? What are your revenue streams that are going to be able to prove, like, combined revenue streams, like merchandising, TV monies, which is what they said, how many, that's like 40 million, I think they said. They get 40 million in a year, which is probably broken up into quarterly amounts. So if it's 40 million, it's 4 quarters, it's probably 10 million a quarter. Maybe you got some sponsorships. I know DraftKings is a sponsor. Maybe there's some more sponsors that are, on their way in. Are the action figures doing that well? Is the t-shirts and stuff doing that well? I questioned that, and I just basically put on Twitter, like, is anybody going to ask, how is that? How is it? Pay-per-view buys. Let's see, if you make 100,000 buys at $50 a pop, that's what, $5 million. I don't know. Let's do the math. Wow, I was right. I was top of my head. If you do $50 pay-per-views, you sell 100,000 of those, that's $5 million. Okay, you have 4 of those a year. That's $20 million. So if you take TV revenue, which is about $47 to $50 million, plus about $20 million in the 4 pay-per-views that you got, that's $70 million, thereabouts. Now maybe you start asking, okay, merchandise can account for another, couple of million. That would be t-shirts, action figures. They haven't had the video game out yet, but there would be like odds and ends and different stuff that they're trying to sell with AEW on it. Then you have sponsorships. What is that going to account for? $1 million, $2 million. Is that long-term money or short-term money? Then you got, of course, your attendance. Ticket sales is going to account for something. But the big issue isn't even all your revenue streams, which is something that, is interesting to look at. It's your expenses. Like, oh, okay, you're going to make $100 million a year, huh? How much are you going to spend, though? How much of that how much are you spending to make that $100 million? What's the roster looking like? How much are you paying the Punks and the Moxleys and all these guys? Did you say MJF just got a pay raise, huh? Okay. How much? Now, some of that stuff is personal information. They're never going to share that with anyone. But it's a weird flex for him to come out loud and say, we're going to make $100 million. And then just kind of leave people to thinking like, oh, that's great. Tony's the GOAT. I'm like, okay, well, half of that is TV revenue. Some thereabouts TV revenue. But then when you take into real dollars, I'm talking real money, out of all the shit that I just said, pro wrestling tees take a cut of pretty much every t-shirt they sell. The t-shirt the wrestlers sell. I think AEW shop is probably different. But Fight TV and Bleacher Report, they take a cut of every pay-per-view they sell. So they made $5 million on a pay-per-view? Not really, depending on how much Fight TV is going to take or Bleacher Report is going to take. What's their cut? Is it 40%, 20, 15, 10? I don't know. I don't know the details of that. Taxation for the buildings that they're running. You're running in you're running in some states that have state athletic commissions. What are they're taxing you? What's that look like? Are you paying for other people's travel? Are you paying for the travel for the talent or whatever the case may be? What's that looking like? When you have so many talent on the show, like they've jam-packed the show to the point where there's 3 6-man tags on the show, 4 tag team matches or some crazy stuff like that, a fatal 4-way involving the women, all kinds of stuff. You have to pay all of these people. You got 4 commentators. You have to pay all of these people. So what are your expenses looking like? What is the production budget looking like? And then you're not running the biggest buildings that you could possibly run. You know, they can run bigger buildings in Chicago than the one that they have. If I remember, if I think, you know, so it's something to think about. But it's interesting that Tony Khan feels like he can flex without, you know, because he doesn't have to give away any details. And that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and flex, dog. But critical thinkers are definitely going to be thinking. All right, you're telling us what your gross is. Thanks for that. How about telling us what, you know, the breakdown of it? You know, the t-shirt sales. Let's talk about the video game pre-orders. How's that doing? You know, how's this stuff doing, man? Like, why are these people not trying to figure this stuff out and verify it? Not, oh, this is what Tony Khan said, therefore it must be true. Like, can you verify it? Surely you should be able to verify through Fight TV and Bleacher Report and all the apps that use AEW or allow you to stream AEW. You should be able to find out from them, oh, this is how much they sold from our site. You know, the 10,000, 20,000 or whatever. And then you add in that with the other 10 to 20,000 that they sold from a different site. And maybe collectively it's 100,000. That's why when people used to say, oh, they did 100,000 buys, and I would say, okay, what's the breakdown? You know, is it 100,000 and 45,000 of it is on Fight and the other 50 is on Bleacher Report? You know, like what's the breakdown of that? You know, because different players are going to take different cuts out of that stuff, you know, but I'm expecting people to have accurate information when they just take the boss's word for it. Oh yeah, we're going to take his word for it. Like, okay, sure. Go for it. I don't care ultimately, but it's a weird flex for a guy who's talking about, you know, I'll make $100 million. Okay. What your expenses looking like, bruh? All right. So All Out was too damn long. It is 1:22 in the morning in Detroit. Thankfully, I don't have to go to work the next day, so I can spend some time with y'all, man, talking about this show. Ultimately, do I think the show was terrible? I think it was unnecessary. 11 matches is too long. It's entirely too long. You know, especially if it's gonna end at midnight. All right, this show ended at midnight, bruh. No, God, just cut the fucking pre-show and started at 7. Look, that's the weird thing about the pay-per-view audience, right? Like TV. I've seen so many people say, why don't these wrestling shows or whatever start at 7? Technically, 7 o'clock is what they call matinee hours. That's not prime time. All right, prime time is 8 to 11, I think. So prime time if you draw a big number in prime time, you can ask for more money in ratings. Sure, more people may watch your wrestling show if you started at 7 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, if it started at 6 o'clock, which is about dinner hours, yeah, you'll probably get more people to watch your show, but your ad revenue will be less. That's why they always push for 8. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. But when you're on pay-per-view, it doesn't fucking matter. Okay? Why? There is no reason why the show needs to start at 8 o'clock. You know, there's no reason for that. Start the show at 7. You know, especially if you're going to say, oh, we're going to do this for 4 hours. Start it at 7. Start at 7. I love the idea of being able to watch a pay-per-view in the middle of the day and still have my night to myself. You know, there's something tremendous about that. Even the show 4 hours, I still got from 11 to whenever, you know, to do my thing. But if you tell me that the goddamn show is going to start at 8 o'clock and not end till midnight, bro, that's my whole night. That's my whole night, bro. You know, that sucks. Sometimes. I'm not going to hold you up. Sometimes it sucks. But that's just a little advice for anybody who might be listening. There's no good reason why the show needs to start at 8 o'clock. That's just kind of a traditional thing that people do. You know, I guess they try to wait for everybody's day to be over for you to get off work. Most people should get off work or going to work by 7 or 8 o'clock. But you can start your show at 7. For fuck's sake. Especially if you're going to go long, start early. You know, if you structure your show right, then you should be able to get everything done in 2 to 3 hours anyway. With anything that's not absolutely necessary, punt that shit to Dynamite. You had enough. You need enough. Punt it to Rampage, and what is not needed on Dynamite, punt it to Rampage. This show would have been so much better if it did not have any other trios match except the championship match. If the women's title match wasn't on there, or the Athena Jade Cargill match was moved to Dynamite, or moved to Rampage, you know, or no, it's a TBS, so it would moved to Dynamite. Yeah, you could have did the interim women's title match. That could have been your women's match for the night. And Jericho and Danielson definitely need to be on this show. Hobbs, Starks, yes. Jungle Boy, Christian. If you were going to do what you did, you could have put that on Dynamite. The Casino Ladder match theoretically is a pay-per-view match. The way that they worked it, you're probably better off doing it on TV. But whatever. But that was my main problem, is that the show was too long. Sometimes these matches were too damn long. But that's typical AEW, man. They don't know when to cut back. And I say that having done this show that long, very long too. So happy Labor Day to all of my Americans. Thank you guys for your time. I've probably eaten into like an hour of your day, over an hour. It should be about 70 some odd minutes from my own personal internal calculations. About 75 minutes, 78 minutes. But thank you guys for your time. Happy holiday. To all my non-Americans, have a wonderful day. I don't know what you guys celebrate today. If you don't celebrate anything, celebrate being alive. I'll talk to you guys later. If you're not subscribed, please do so. And peace out.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.